Whew, it's the 3rd. It's our day 3. We're still here working with that root chakra energy. I am going to go ahead and I had a little bit of a fire mishap yesterday. Public service announcement, which is do not leave your candles unattended, especially outside when it's super hot and all the wax melts and catches on fire. My normal candle vessel here is kind of out of commission. Gonna try to see if we can get this red candle going today. I empower and charge this candle to help me work with the energy of my root chakra for grounding and stability, security, and release. All right. There we go. The wind may put it out. That'll be okay. So make sure you have all your goodies. Today, we do want a couple of blocks or supports, perhaps, because we're going to be working a little bit more in a plane of moving towards standing. Not entirely sure if we'll be doing standing poses. We're going to kind of see how this practice takes us. I suspect that's where we're going, though. We're not going to be as floor-based today. Also, journal, have your divination tools with you. Got my Jasper. Let's put all that away and let's get right to our yoga practice today. Today, we are going into the stability aspect of our root chakra. We're looking at stability. And if you don't feel super stable, that's okay. That's a skill. We can work on it. I do believe we're going to move into some balancing poses. So we will be standing. And it is, just as a heads up, it's totally okay if you fall over. It's okay to not be super stable right now. This is a practice, right? We are practicing things. We are practicing things that we may not be very good at yet. We may never be very good at them, but we do grow and we learn and we gain skills and knowledge by playing around. Adopt, perhaps, an outlook of play towards your practice, this practice, your witchcraft practice in general. Just be open to stumbling, to falling, or maybe to being completely stable. So with that said, let's start on our hands and knees today. We're going to start right here. The wrists are directly underneath the shoulders. The knees are directly underneath the hips. Alignment is uber important. Always aligned. The wrists, if you have any discomfort here, blocks can be really helpful. You can kind of sideways them, give you something to grip on that can help take some of that pressure off of the wrists. You can use them this way. Really, we're going to get into working with the hands much like we were working with the feet yesterday in later practices, but when you are doing work here where your hands are flat on the mat, really push into all of the fingers. That also takes some of that pressure off the wrist, particularly the thumbs and the first 2 fingers, pushing in there. All right, so here we are. We got our knees under our hips, our wrists under our shoulders, and we're ready to do some things. We're gonna bring a little bit of movement in here through some cows and some cats. Inhaling, the belly drops, the gaze looks up. And exhaling, rounding the spine, pushing up like an angry little cat. Tucking the chin towards the chest, relaxing the tops of the feet to the mat. We want to pay attention here, even though it feels like we're not working with that lower half of our body. We still want to pay attention. We're not doing much with it right now. It's important to be relaxed as much as it is important to pay attention to what muscles we are working with. All right, we're going to come back to a neutral spine after taking a few movements with our own breath here, inhaling with the belly dropping and exhaling, arching up into our cat. Feel free to add some sound here. You might want to moo on an inhale and with that exhaling motion. Again, play can be a really useful tool in your practice. All right, so from our hands and knees, we're just going to scooch back, moving the hips towards the heels, finding a little bit of a narrow-kneed child's pose here. And blocks are totally available to you if that ground is really far away. If the ground is like forever away, make it taller. You can come here, find a place for your forehead to rest. This is Balasana, child's pose in a narrowed knee version. You are also more than welcome to pull your knees out to the outer edges of the mat. Pull those big toes together and then sink back. That makes a little more room for the belly. The forehead is trying to make its way to the mat. The spine nice and long. Arms reaching forward. Grounding here, feeling grounded. We're going to spend a little more time with this pose in the next few days, particularly when we move into concentrating on surrender and release. So today we're just going to visit it shortly, and then pushing back into the ground, the elbows come up, we shift the weight forward back to our hands and knees. And we're going to start working towards standing here today. So you may want the blocks to give yourself a little more lift here. Again, working on those, keeping that alignment of the wrists over under the shoulders. And shifting the weight onto the left leg. Lift that right leg just back up behind you just a little bit. Just feel that, and let's put it back down. A breath in, a breath out. Shifting the weight, making a nice little three-cornered. We're on day 3. We're making a little trinity here with our body, lifting that left leg. Putting it back down. We're just playing around here. We're gonna move a bit. You can sink back to the heels, give your wrists a stretch if you like. You can always add extra movements. Whatever feels good in your body is what is appropriate for your practice. So we're gonna now move into a little bit of a lunge because we want to really concentrate on the strength of our legs. That's where our stability is coming from. We want a nice firm foundation, especially for poses that we may get into later on through our journey. So finding the space, either hands and knees, hands on the mat, or using your blocks to bring you up a little bit more. Lifting that right leg, we're gonna bring it around and right between the hands. Paying attention here, we want the knee right over this ankle. Might want to walk the foot out so it's more in line with the hip. Left leg, knee is down on the mat. This is where we're going to stay for now because we want to build this foundation. Tapping in it, paying attention to these hips here, turning to face right in front of you. Everything's in alignment here, looking straight ahead. Letting those arms reach down, lifting the shoulders up over the hips, and just staying here. Feeling how much strength you need. You might feel it across the front of the left thigh. You might feel it in the back of the right thigh. Press in through that front foot. Paying attention to all 4 corners like we did yesterday. The inside of the foot, the outside of the foot, maybe rocking back and forth to find that balance, and then grounding down, not gripping with the toes, pushing back towards the shin of the back leg. And just briefly, we're going to inhale, let the arms come all the way up. The gaze looks up to the sky. You might lose your balance like I just did because there's a plane overhead. That's okay. There we go. Looking up, and exhale, let the arms come back down. That back leg might be a little bit tired right now. We're just gonna push back, release, maybe a little wiggle. Stretch it back out into a nice child's pose here. Stretching out the back. And we have another leg. So coming back to our hands and knees, checking our alignment, checking our foundation, because we want to be stable in our poses. Shifting the weight slightly to that right leg so we can lift the left and bring it through, stepping it around, finding the space between our hands, setting up for stability and a solid foundation here. Maybe wiggling and lifting the toes to really feel all four corners of the foot there, pushing back towards the shin, towards the top of the foot of the right leg, facing forward, checking with those hips, turning to face forward. The knee wants to move out towards the pinky toe edge of the foot. Finding some stability here, lifting the shoulders up over the hips. And then, when you're super stable here, then inhale, the arms come up, the gaze looks up, go a moment to appreciate everything, and then exhale, relaxing back down, maybe finding those blocks, stepping that left leg back, maybe taking a quick child's pose, releasing some of that tension in the work we just did, grounding back down. Connecting back to the breath here. With no breath, there's no yoga. We have to have the movement and our breath in alignment. Our goal here is not to wear ourselves out to exhaustion. We want to ground between our movements. Coming back here to our hands and knees again. If the knees are feeling a little unhappy with the kneeling, place a blanket or a folded towel right underneath them. This time we're going to do the same movement, but we're going to try standing with it. So let's get where we need to go. All right, we set a foundation. We know where we're going. Inhale that right leg up between the legs. Find a lot of stability here. Turn the toes under with the left foot. Pushing into the ball of the foot. Rise that knee up, up, up. Use those blocks if you need them. Use the ground if you need it. Take a moment here. Knee over ankle. Hips turning to be in line with the body. Up on the ball of the left foot. Heel is pushing back, but that left leg is straight and strong. Here, we are solid. We are solid here before we move anywhere else. And then just like when the knee was down, we bring the shoulders up over the hips, continue to deepen that bend in the right knee. And here, we are strong. We are stable. And only here, if we are strong and we are stable, do we inhale. Let those arms come up. Find that balance and that stability there. And then looking up to the sky. It's funny, little subtle movements can totally shift your stability and balance. It's okay. It's okay. Exhale. Coming back down. Let that left knee slowly return to the mat. Stepping back with the right foot. Taking a quick child's pose here. Sinking back, hips towards the heels. Arms stretching long in front. Stretching through the back side of the body. Giving the legs a little bit of a break. Got one more side here, y'all. We got this. Connect back to your breath. Inhaling through the nose. Open the mouth, sigh it out. Maybe that side was hard, maybe it was easy. It's okay, it's over. We're gonna move to the other side. So, Finding that stability, that foundation, that alignment here, hands and knees first. Grabbing our blocks. Inhaling. Weight just subtly shifts into that right leg so we can move, bend, wrap around that left leg in between the hands. From here, feeling solid and stable. Maybe we play with lifting the shoulders over the hips here. Maybe we just stay down, chest to the thigh. Finding the four corners of our feet, feeling nice and stable. Front foot is in alignment with that hip. Turn the toes of the right foot under. Get up on the ball of the foot, push back through the heel. Push back, push back. Here, find that stability. Find that grounding. Make small adjustments if you need them. And then, once you're stable, lift up slowly. Engage that core, pull that low belly in, keeping the back leg straight. Shoulders come up over hips. Hips are facing front. Knee is trying to track out towards that pinky toe. You do not want that knee coming in. And then here, inhale, arms come up, gaze comes up. You might find your balance and stability is better on one side than the other. Again, it's okay. Whew. It's okay to have challenges here. It's okay to struggle. All right. We're working with this root energy. We may not have really spent much time here before. Inhale, woo. Exhale, slowly return to the ground. Bend that right knee back down. Left knee back to the ground. Find the hands and knees. Take the knees out to the outer edges of the mat. Moving hips towards the heels. Stretching forward. Finding this child's pose again. This space, this opportunity for grounding, a place of rest after that hard work. 3 big breaths here. Open the mouth, sigh it out. Let go of all that work we just did. And pushing back up to hands and knees, maybe moving the feet forward, finding ourselves in a seated position, however you need to move to get there. Bringing those legs long out in front. Stretching, flexing, pulling the toes back towards you. Spine is tall here. Move any flesh from underneath you so you can feel those sits bones nice and grounded. Return to the breath. Spine tall. Let the shoulders sink away from the ears. And inhaling. Arms come up. Exhaling, bending from the hips, shifting forward, letting the chest carry you forward. Gonna just go as far as it's comfortable. Might not even look like it changed very much. That's totally okay. A blanket right underneath the thighs, near the knees, can really help to take some of that strain and pressure off the hamstrings. When you find that place that's comfortable for you, just let your arms drop to the ground. Just going to stay here in a forward fold for 3 breaths. Big breath in, feel the belly moving towards the thighs here, creating space for you, and exhaling, folding a little tiny bit deeper into that space. Using your discernment to find your edge, to find that space where maybe there's a little discomfort, but there's no pain and no distress. Inhaling, exhale, sigh it out. Maybe even collapse down, rolling through the upper body. Pull the core in, that low belly. Pull it in as you rise up one vertebrae at a time, shoulders coming back all the way up over the hips. All right, now using that same control that we just used to pull up from our forward fold, roll down through the spine, one vertebrae at a time, really using the strength of your core here. No flopping, controlling the path downward till you find yourself flat on your back. We did a lot of work here today with our foundation, with our stability. You deserve some rest and relaxation. Walk that right leg out to the outer corner of your mat. And the left leg, let your feet open, gently flopping away from one another. Getting adjustments with the shoulders here. Palms are open, ready to receive all of the benefits of your practice today. Gently close your eyes. Release the control of the breath. Here in deep relaxation, we absorb stability. Shavasana. Returning our attention to the breath, deepening the breath here, turning our attention to the feet, bringing movement into the toes, wiggling the fingers, maybe rolling out the ankles, rolling out the wrists,
Taking a big stretch, waking up. Pull the knees into the chest. Give yourself a big hug here. Rolling onto your favorite side, curled up like a baby. This in the space of rebirth. Thanking yourselves for our practice today. Finding gratitude for showing up. Finding appreciation for practicing stability. A big breath in here. Sigh, let it go. The strength of our arms pushes us up to find a nice, easy seat, keeping the eyes closed. Removing any flesh out of the way, finding a connection between our sits bones and the ground. Legs can be crossed or straight out in front of you. Taking a moment to center, shoulders over the hips, away from the ears. Unclench the jaw, soften the eyes. Returning your attention to your breath. Entering our meditation practice for today. We'll be working with the Adhi Mudra. Gently place your thumbs in the center of your palms, allowing the fingertips to curl around them into soft fists. Resting hands palm down on the knees or the thighs. This mudra or hand position brings a calming sensation. It can affect and lower the blood pressure, so be aware if that may be a concern for you. Finding a space here for stability. We face challenges and upheaval every day. Sometimes it feels like every moment throughout our lives. Through taking these moments to slow down, to center, to ground, to find and create our own stability, we learn to move through the trials and the tribulations, the upheavals, in a stable manner. Focusing on the breath, slowing the inhales, gently letting the exhales leave and release. When everything feels like it's falling apart, we can turn our attention to our breath, slowing it down, and the body will follow. Simple magic we create right here within ourselves. Continuing to work with this root chakra energy, I encourage you to join me for 3 rounds of the root chakra sound Lam, and then 1 silent Lam. Inhaling Releasing the grip in the hands, releasing our mudra, sweeping the hands away and up with our inhale till palms meet overhead, elbows growing heavy with the exhale as gravity pulls the thumbs down to heart center, finding the space of compassion for ourselves while we are rooted. We allow this compassion to spread throughout ourselves, finding love, acceptance, and appreciation within. Bringing movement to the hands now, rubbing them back and forth, finding friction and momentum, bringing our attention back to ourselves, back to our body, back to our physical experience today. One clap.
Whew. All right, I am actually a sweaty mess because it is Southwest Florida and it is freaking hot, y'all. Are we ready for some divination? I am. Today, our prompt is about stability. You guessed it. Y'all are smart. What can bring me stability as I take this self-love journey? How do I find stability? Where is my stability? These are the questions that we're asking today. Again, you can get out your journal, scribble away at it. Maybe you want to explore where stability has been in your life, where it hasn't been. Just go on this journey and see where it takes you. Obviously, if you were watching my practice earlier, stability is not necessarily one of my strong suits, emotionally or physically. Emotionally, it's been a journey. I used to be easily triggered from all sorts of random things where I would go from super okay to everything is not okay in any shape or form in like 2 seconds. But over time, I've cultivated stability in my life. It's still kind of there, that the instability is still somewhere. If I'm tired, that lack of balance is still kind of evident, especially physically, right? But emotionally, I'm much more stable. A good part of that I totally credit to my yoga practice, because taking the physical motions, taking a physical experience, building strength and skill with the physical really helps me translate what I want to build emotionally, spiritually. They all pair together. I can journal, and that incorporates the mind, and it's this merging these things together has really helped me create the stability versus that negative self-talk where I'm just sitting around and, oh, I'm totally unstable. Yeah, that wasn't helpful at all. So again, I invite to speak to yourself with kindness. And that starts by noticing when you're unkind, without judgment, without critique, without adding to that negative self-talk, just noticing when you start to speak to yourself critically. That noticing is step one. That's step one. Once you notice it, you can begin to reword it. You can begin to reframe the narrative. You can change how you're speaking to yourself. So where I used to be like, oh my God, you're such a klutz, you just fell over. At some point I was able to notice that that's unkind. I might still have that thought, wow, I can't believe you can't stand like that. But instead, I would tell myself, you know what, that's unkind. This just isn't a skill I've built yet. I think that was the first way I started to convert my self-talk. To just remind myself that it's not a skill I'm very good at yet. And it's okay to not be skilled in something, right? You just start practicing. And that is why everything we do here is our practice. Whew. I do think that we want to pull a card today real quick. I'm going to ask Ganesh for some advice on how to be more stable. All right, shuffling some cards up here.
Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha. How can we find stability? Ooh. Innocence. When it comes to innocence, I think of childhood. I think of being more of a blank slate, viewing the world with a sense of play, with imagination. And like I said earlier in our practice, that can be a really valuable tool in your practice. Approaching something as a beginner, understanding that your skill set is evolving, that you may have more skills later than you have today. Everybody starts something with less skill than they will eventually have if they practice. So adopting an outlook and a mindset of innocence, that getting in that childhood place of not being clouded by our experience and whether somebody has told us that we're good at this or we're not good at this, just try, just play, just practice, celebrate the awesomeness of practicing. Hopefully tomorrow I can get started a little earlier so I won't be blazing away in the sun. Lots of love to you. Mwah. Have a fantastic Thursday, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Go practice your self-love.